The planet Varelian 5 was a place where sunlight slanted down in molten gold, where the air shimmered with microscopic crystals, and where the towering obsidian cliffs hummed with a strange, ancient resonance. For centuries, at least as far as human charts recorded, its ecosystem evolved in perfect, brutal balance. Every organism had a role, every predator a counterweight. Except one, the Vorithine stalker. It ruled the upper canyons like a living myth, a serpentine apex hunter with chromatophore skin that could mimic any terrain, jaws able to shear bone like damp paper, and no known weaknesses. The planetary survey files assigned it a simple tag: natural predators, none. Humans respected that, studied that, avoided that. All except Susan Hale. She wasn't reckless. She wasn't foolish. She simply didn't scare easily, and she refused to be bullied by any creature that thought it could harm something she loved. Especially her dog, a fluffy, overly social terrier named Bolts, whose greatest danger in life had previously been tripping over his own enthusiasm. She and her research partner, Evan Cross, had been cataloging crystal growth patterns along the canyon ridge when Bolts darted around a corner, barking at something neither of them had seen. Susan lifted her head from the scanner. "Bolts? Hey, no running off!" Evan frowned. He better not be chewing on another xenofungal cluster. Last time the biolab reeked for days. But Bolts's bark shifted. First confusion, then fear. Susan's chest tightened. She grabbed her pulse rifle instinctively. That's not a fungus bark. When they rounded the crystalline outcrop, they froze. The Vorithine stalker was coiled like a living shadow, its skin rippling with iridescent camouflage. It towered above Bolts, whose tail was tucked so far under his trembling body it nearly vanished. Evan's voice was barely a whisper. "Oh no, oh hell, that's a stalker." The creature's maw parted, revealing rows of teeth like polished obsidian shards. Bolts whimpered. And something ancient and dangerous ignited inside Susan. It was the kind of instinct humans rarely acknowledged anymore in their era of starships and interstellar diplomacy. Something primal, territorial, and absolute. "You do not touch my dog." Susan stepped forward. Evan hissed, "Susan, what are you—" "We need to retreat, call the outpost, get drone support." "No time." Her eyes were locked onto the creature. "It's focused on Bolts. If we run, it pounces." The stalker pivoted its massive head toward her. Its pupils narrowed to blade-thin slits. Susan leveled her rifle, not shaking, not hesitating. There was a very old truth in the universe. Humans were small, soft, and fragile. There was a newer truth. Humans protected what was theirs with a ruthlessness no evolutionary algorithm could predict. The creature lunged. Susan fired. The pulse bolt struck midair, ripping a shockwave through the canyon. Crystal fragments showered like neon rain. The stalker screeched, its camouflage flickering. Evan grabbed Bolts and dove behind a rock formation as Susan rolled aside, avoiding a swipe of serrated talons. The creature lashed out again. Susan fired twice, controlled, precision bursts, aiming for joints, nerves, weaknesses she'd memorized from countless research logs. A stalker wasn't invincible. It simply had never encountered a human who was willing to stand her ground. "Evan," she shouted, "the resonator, use the canyon frequencies." He understood instantly. The cliffs around them weren't just geological oddities. They stored vibrational energy. Evan slammed his field pack onto the ground, tearing out a handheld resonance amplifier. "Cover me." The stalker noticed him and shifted direction. Susan stepped into its path. "You stay with me," she growled. She fired again, but the creature adapted quickly, dispersing its mass in a rapid serpentine flicker. It slammed her with its tail, sending her skidding across the crystalline floor. Pain exploded across her ribs, but she forced herself up, vision swimming. Bolts barked, a terrified, high-pitched sound, and something deep in Susan snapped. Not fear, fury. She sprinted toward the creature, leaping onto a crystal outcrop for height. As the stalker reared to strike Bolts again, she launched herself off the ledge, landing on its back. Her rifle clattered to the ground, but she didn't need it. She grabbed the creature's neck ridge with both hands and screamed with raw human defiance. "He's my dog!" The stalker thrashed violently, slamming against the canyon walls. Razor edges of crystal scraped her arms, tore her sleeve, blood streaking across the creature's scales. But she held on. "Now, Evan!" she roared. He slammed the amplifier against the canyon floor and activated it. A deep, resonant hum burst outward, an ancient, canyon-shaking frequency. The vibrating cliffs amplified it, bouncing waves of force through the creature's body. The stalker convulsed, its chromatophores glitching into a frenzy of colors. Susan was thrown free, landing hard beside Bolts, who immediately pressed himself against her with a trembling whine. The creature shrieked, then collapsed with a seismic thud. The canyon fell silent except for the echoing vibration fading into the alien winds. Evan ran over, panting. Are you okay?" Susan winced, wiping blood from her forehead. "Bruised. Maybe cracked a rib, but I'll live." Bolts licked her face furiously. Susan hugged him tightly. "You're safe, baby. Mommy's here." Evan stared at the fallen stalker in disbelief. This species has ruled the canyon untouched for thousands of years. Nothing hunts it, nothing challenges it. Susan scratched Bolts's ears and rose, limping but proud. "Well," she said, "it threatened the wrong dog." Evan exhaled a breathless laugh. "Humans. We're absolutely insane, you know that?" "Not insane," she corrected, lifting her rifle off the ground. "Just loyal." The three of them, scientist, partner, and dog, stood together as the canyon winds swept across the crystalline expanse, carrying the scent of victory. From that day forward, the survey databanks updated the ecological files for Virelian 5. Vorathene stalker, apex predator, natural predators. None major threats. Humans, if provoked. And in the whispered stories of future explorers, the legend grew. How the deadliest creature on Virelian 5 met something far more terrifying. A human protecting their dog.